Coming to you live from sunny Arizona. The Steve Rude Show is now live.
Today, June 7th, 2025, an amazing year. When I think back at all the years I've endured and you've endured, we all, maybe you've noticed this, but we all age one day at a time. It is a very forced in fairness, enforced fairness of life. That we all age equally at the same time. Anyway, I'm Steve Rude. Welcome to my live stream here. We have a bunch of stuff to look over today. Some of this is going to be really cool. The only concern I have before we start today is going over. We're always going over to the half-hour mark, sometimes going into an hour and a half, which I think bores the spit out of most people. So we don't want to do that. Besides, it kind of wears me out. You know, when I often come on with announcements that talk about now we've got something really great planned for today. Today is going to be a momentous moment when we display some of the stuff we're going to be talking about today. But in fact, there was I kind of got a lot of that from a TV show from a while back called A Night Gallery. And there was a particular show that I found very, very compelling. And it was it had little Balak in there, Clint Howard, in the I think it was the second season, first episode, and it was called The Boy That Predicted Earthquakes. For those who remember that episode, it had a lot more content to it than most of the ridiculous episodes that was made up of that show. Poor Rod had nothing to do with the thing, which is never a good thing. You always want to be in control if your name is going to be on the marquee. But this particular episode had something very profound. It was about a kid who predicted earthquakes, or rather could predict anything. And one time he got on there after playing with his toys for a half hour and driving people crazy at home because they wanted to see him predict more stuff. Yeah, they finally got him to deliver the prognostication of the day, and there's a reason why he waited. There's a reason why he didn't want to go on and tell people what it was, because it turned out to be as he would put it, a day different from all other days, a days when mankind finally united and stopped squabbling over petty differences. A day when all things come together and brother unites with brother, and we all finally find what we've been looking for as mankind has marched forward for all these centuries. The ending, I'm not going to tell you. It's too good to tell. But maybe some of you have guessed it, but it sure moved me, because obviously I haven't forgot about it after all these years. We have some things to read right here. One thing I wanted to mention, we've been getting a lot of emails in for you guys, which is very flattering to me. We're going to read some of those today. But before we do that, we are committed to talk about the main things here. You guys know about the Nexus How to Draw book coming up, right? So the announcement here, if you missed our Kickstarter on the Steve Rude How to Draw book, you can pre-order it today. This is about drawing a human figure, all the stuff you know me to do. It's going to have all this and that, hands, hair, feet, earlobes in assorted anatomical parts. So we're looking forward to see what you guys think of that when we finally get it done. Now here's a big one, Patreon members. We have some new Patreon members for the $5 level. Joe Hertz, Joey, and Trout House Comics. Trout House. So, congratulations to these three people. How Now Brown Cow should probably go with Trout House Comics. So for you $5 guys, you receive a finished ink letters page of Returned to Earth. Really? That must be a Xerox, right, Mr. Producer? Oh, okay. I thought they were going to give away one of my originals. We will post this finished color pages for free members before releasing it as a web comic. Did you guys get that? Okay, you did. For the 25 guys that are loaded, they receive all the progressive shots in the latest Nexus story that I'm involved with, which I'll show you in a second here, Return to Earth. And this is going to cover everything. And you know what everything is covered in a comic book. Script, pencils, scanned letters, thumbnail. Letters meaning my hand-drawn letters. The thumbnails, even the reference used. And the final thing is the discount on the Nexus books. Now this is as important as the boy who predicted earthquakes here, when all mankind would come together because of the great news they were about to receive. If fans use the discount code YouTube25 on our website, they get 25% off of all Nexus books on their purchase. I don't know about you guys, but that sounds like a heck of a deal. And there are no earthquakes involved. Let's get to some letters right here, and then I'm going to show you a bunch of artwork here. Recent comments. This is what I get printed out right here when you guys write in. Recent comics. A guy named Neil Hill wrote in, and he was interested in how I spoke of the pages here. Let's get this page out. This is probably the one that reflects it best. Of people that almost seem like they're living people. There's some things I have to work out here. There's a little too much spottiness of the blacks going on that I'll correct with the white out. But yeah, when I start getting involved in these crowds, I'm unable to draw just a generic this or that because it actually, I'm very resistant to doing that. I see these people as all these goofy characters. And with my sense of humor and the way I just think, period, all these weird types come out. Dwayne Muth wrote in. He's really big on the different kinds of aliens here that are in Nexus, of which there is going to be plenty. Yeah, even the monkeys show up in this panel here. Guy wrote in. He's been trying to do a charcoal of Marilyn Monroe, and he's got bad reference, or at least the reference he wants he doesn't have. He's looking for a new angle from I think the straight on view. So he wants to do he wants to do a 3/4, but it lacks her personality. Well, let me tell you, this is very, very hard when you see someone like Drew Struzan, my personal hero, pulling off this multitude of perfect likenesses. It's because he's touched. Very few of us are touched. Hell, I touch myself, but I can't draw like Drew Struzan. But I do try. You guys know of my work because it's all over the internet. Blah, blah, blah. Portions, all this kind of stuff. So this Carl Wilson writes in. Oh, Carl, okay, great, from the Beach Boys. Beautiful work, Steve. Ink work, Steve. I ink a lot and definitely show me some things to try with my brushes. Well, if we have time, we're going to be doing that very thing today. And then I'm going to show you the brushes that I used. But the assignment that I worked out today came from the famous artist course. And these are all shoved in the back of the Albert Dorn School booklets. And this is how they would test you out for your abilities, and then you would send these in by the mail, of course, to Westport, Connecticut, with your drawn sample here, looking at what you did here. And the instructors will be able to tell right away if you've got the right touch or if you need work. So I would say that 90% of them are going to need work, the people that sign up for this course. It actually turned out to be a very expensive course, and one way it was sold was the old-fashioned way, where door-to-door salesmen came to your door and tried to recruit people that way. If you wrote in, if little Billy wrote in by way of his mom and dad, lived in whatever the hell Kentucky, this guy would make a trip to whatever the hell Kentucky to meet up with the little Billy and talk him into signing up and spending a lot of money in this course, which is going to be worth it. But I don't know if little Billy had the fortitude to keep going with this stuff. You'd obviously have to be in your 20s, late 20s, to take this seriously enough to want to make the expenditure and really give it your all in trying to learn this stuff good. Obviously, I've been working on it my whole life, and all the other professionals in the field have been doing the same. So this is going to be a little test that I want you guys to work on in the next week. If I have time, I will ink my version today. If we don't, you guys send in your versions, and then I'll do my inked version next week, okay? Oh, what do I got here? Oh, here's my little thing. I was already testing out some of the ink strokes there. So that's going to be my little deal there. Whew, brushes. Some guy writes in, coffee man. I never thought to break complicated pictures down like this. He's talking about the lesson from last week where I took a Prince Valiant drawing and broke it down. It was a cast of thousands, like Cal Foster, the author, and an illustrator would always do. But he would break it down in a way that it was never cluttered, and your eye always knew where to go, which is very unusual to be that good at something. We're going to be talking about some more Hal Foster stuff in a bit here. A lot of good letters. A lot of people like the Carl Castle's suggestion about seeing more things about folds in the How to Draw book. And Sam McClure wrote in, I assume Steve is using a lettering guide. If so, what sizing is it set to? It's set to the right size. I don't know exactly what that is, but when I work large like this, it gets a little bigger. The lettering guide that I use is actually much smarter than the way most people do it, because I'm just that kind of a guy. I make up these things ahead of time here on Bristol board, and I just use these as my guides without having to back and forth with a little Ames guide, the Ames lettering guide, because that drives me crazy. It takes too long, and it's kind of irritating, and the lead always breaks through the little hole that I have to go back and forth with. So I thought I would make up a bunch of things like this right here that are already pre-made. And when I do these, then they get mechanically transferred to the page. So I wish I could do lettering on the page, but I screw up too much, and it becomes a hassle after a while. Mike is cutting out a little bit. That happened last time, yeah, no doubt because of me. This guy, great sense of humor. I'm not a girl. He knows. Everyone knows I'm looking for more girls in my audience because I believe the number of girls I have is -0. I'm not a girl, but I like to know about the 3 heads on the top shelf in the background. These 3 heads back there are the singing heads. I get out my little, harmonica, and I set it to the key of G, and miraculously, these heads that are normally inanimate will start singing. So they keep me in a good mood while I'm lettering, drawing, or inking. That's what the 3 heads are all about. Greg LaRogue. Now, it's so good to hear from my friend Greg LaRogue. I met him in, I think it was either Florida or Atlanta, and I just had the greatest time talking with him. So I'm glad he's on board. He's such a good artist, and you ought to check out his website if he's got one. I'm sure he does. Someone made a comment here. This shows how literate the Nexus audience is. I've just been to Rome and Italy, and saw many marble statues and sculptures and studies of Greek and Roman gods, the superheroes of ancient times. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. That's where they all came from. Sam McClure wrote in again. Boy, this guy's got a lot of energy, but he made a comment on my energy and said, Steve had Bob Ross energy today. Well, isn't that nice? I could use that more consistently. David Kearley wrote in, do you cut out the word balloons and glue them on a Bristol board? I would if we didn't have the computer aspect to do that, where Gina will import them in the computer and then paste them on the page. And I'll show you how that works in a second here. This is really interesting right here. We should probably come back to these right here, but I'll try to wrap these up. Rick Berry wrote in. Rick Berry, if this is who I think it is one of the best artists out there. He's an illustrator, and he works in oil paint, and he's incredibly talented. So I'm very glad that he wrote in. Don Graham wrote in, do you have vids showing the strew sand process? Well, the only thing he's really got out is the Hellboy tape, and that's kind of a... Strew is very guarded about his final veneer that he puts on his work. So he kind of stopped short, and I called him up one day and I said, you know, Strew, the finish that you show on the tape, the Hellboy tape, is quite a bit different than the one you show us on the tape. You kind of stop at a certain point, and then you come in with the actual finish, and it's considerably different. Did you know you do that? I said. He says, no, I don't do that. Don Magnus wrote a very interesting letter right here, again showing the intellect of our crowd here. People with migraines, of all things, sometimes get scotomas, which are an aura or blind spot that blocks part of your vision. And he's comparing that to the way Kirby would draw certain scenes where when a strike would happen, the whole scene would light up as though it was bleached out by an incredibly powerful a blow of some kind. The vision impairment can appear as a form of dark spot or a flicker, or can have to be dependent on what happens to you when you get this in the first place, like a Kirby clobbering time moment. Very interesting. This guy brought up a comment about AI. I've already talked about AI. AI was going to come no matter how many people complain about it. 5 years from now, there's going to be a different sort of AI. 10 years from now, 20 years from now, you can't stop progress. I don't even sweat it. I don't even worry about it. I just focus on what makes me happy. And you know what makes me happy, all the stuff I'm showing you today. Comics is really the thing that makes me the happiest in the world. And illustration is something I keep up with, just to feel like I'm part of the the greats that came before me, that taught me everything that I know about illustration. Ken Stacy, hey, it's so good to hear from Ace. Many thanks for generously sharing your skills, dude. I know that everyone from casual amateurs to seasoned pros will benefit from this excellent test. We all know, everyone knows Ken Stacy, and if you don't, just look at the Space Ghost book that we put out from Kamiko. Those backgrounds were 99% done by Ken Stacy. His mastery of an airbrush made that book what it was. Without him, we never would have had the stellar look that we had. Oh. Some guy mentioned that he's genuinely in awe of my body of work. Is he talking about me here, or is he talking about someone else with a body? Oh, that's nice. That's nice to hear that. You get a body of work when you work hard. And last week I kind of came up with this little phrase right here that I wanted to impart to everybody, because I think everyone could use reminding of it. And what I wrote down was, you have just enough time in a lifetime to do everything you need to do. So if you use your time well, and sometimes you won't use it well, you'll screw off. That's part of the way it is. It's back and forth. It's this and that. But if you like the work, if it's fun for you to do what you're doing, whatever that may be, I don't know much about working in cars, but most of my friends really love doing that. Not for me, but this stuff is for me, and I just love doing it. I think that's it. Good to hear from Ken Stacy. It's good to hear from Thomas Fertilli. Is that how that you pronounce it name? Fertilli, okay. Really good guy. He's got this excellent channel about artwork that he talks about on his channel, and he wrote a very nice letter back. He goes, "I'm truly excited for your newest how-to book, and I'm more than happy to help you reach your goal however I can." This guy's all about helping people, so do what you can to help him out too. I hope this video does something to move you closer to that goal of making this book a reality. Well, that's what nice people say. Oh, okay. Are we almost at the end here? No, we still have to do Ken Meyer Jr. here. This Sebastian Thart wrote in, and he goes, "Now this is of interest to everyone here, because there's a lesson to be learned from this. Such a shame there is such a small market for traditional illustration work. I would do anything to draw comic books and book covers. How badly do you want to do it? If you want it badly enough, you just do it. And just as in the movie Field of Dreams, they will come to you if they think you're talented enough and have a look that appeals to them to the point where they have to buy your book. Do not be fooled. Do not be detoured by this AI stuff or anything else that's going to come along in the next 500 years. Just do what you love to do, and you'll find a spot for it. This is another reason that the work of a conventional illustrator will never go away. And if you abide by the things that you wish you could have right here and get it, and you'll find out the benefits from that. Ken Meyer Jr. Ken is a great guy. I already mentioned that Ken is one of these guys where I can, if I happen to see him at a convention, even if it's a mile away, somehow Ken's radar goes off, some kind of a dude meter goes off, and he knows that I'm coming, even from a mile away. I can see it in his face once I hold up the binocs. So Ken has a very practical thing that he's going to bring up here. I have so many saved photos and clippings to my left in a big file cabinet. Well, we're all about the same age, us guys. Ken Stacy, Ken Meyer, myself, and some of these other guys that wrote in here. That's the way we worked, and we still work like that. Mike Polachek wrote in, do they still do inking in modern comics, or is it a dying art? Well, okay. It's only a dying art if people don't do it. So do it, and it won't be a dying art. We're going to show you some stuff right here. When I talked to you about black spotting. All right. Well, here's a Prince Valiant panel right here. Let's boost this up a little bit here with my trusty little things. And I picked this one out. It's a little dark, but I picked it out because there's a little bit of confusion going on here, especially around this area right here. When you look at it, you have to spend a little bit of time looking into it, and you don't want that. You never want that. You want to arrange things somehow so that it's an instant read rather than a 3 to 5 second read. And a lot of that is because of this cross-hatching stuff over here. So what did I do? I did my little version of it right here. If you want to compare the two, I think I worked it out here to a point. So that's what I would do with if I had done this panel and did my little thumbnails of working out the blacks ahead of time. It becomes more important to work those things out all the time. I see something I can add here. These are the cast shadows that I didn't put in of these this tripod stuff. So if I put this in, hopefully it doesn't distract at all. It just looks as though it belongs there. You don't want anything that distracts. And one way to do that is if you've got a light shape and you put dark around it, you're going to be okay. And the opposite, of course, is true. If you be very selective with your blacks. unless you're doing a scene that requires a lot of black. And then just use the reverse. Use a white spot, a white figure around a dark background, and it'll read. Here's some more Prince Valiant stuff I brought out. Now this is a perfect example of something that reads right here. A lot of figure work here, not a lot of background detail. You don't need it. What you need here is to tell the story, and that's exactly what he's doing here. And when the beautiful coloring gets put in here, it makes it come alive. The emotions in these characters is I guess the cliche word would be first rate, but I need to think of something way better than that, because this guy is just incredible. He's got a couple flaws in his drawing that come out every now and then. She's got an overbite right there, and I don't think he meant to do that. His babies are very good. I'm sure it was based on when he had his own baby. Baby. This is great. See how clever this was? No detail in here. Just a straight silhouette against enough of a white background to make it read okay. Very smart. Sometimes just this alone right there, and just this is plenty right there. Now he could have added a lot of blacks to this stuff. I could see where he could have added it. In fact, I can see plenty areas, but I think it's smarter to leave it open sometimes. And if you think you need some blacks, my way is always going over little Xerox copies. Here's another example of why this guy is so great. How are we doing time-wise, Mr. Producer?
We are just past 30 minutes.
Oh my God. You see what I mean? You think time flies when you're having fun? Well, when you come here, it goes at hyperspeed because we're really having fun. Now look at this page right here. I love the vignette right here of white space. This doesn't even have the border of the figures in there. But look at this right here. This is a crowd of millions, and look how simple it reads. It's unbelievable. He could have put a lot of more detail up here. Like, I wouldn't put it around here because then it would conflict with all this detail. I might put it up here, but keep it simple. And don't put a lot of black spotting in there because it's just going to detract. This page right here is a little more complicated. This one right here is kind of a circle kind of an affair there. And I think that it's got a sense of being off balance to it. There needs to be something like dead center, and then all these things around it. And so it's a little like Where's Waldo kind of a thing going on there. Everyone he did was an individual. I love that. This is a great panel right here. Darks against essentially white shapes. White shape, dark background. This guy, who cares? No black spotting here, really. And it works just fine. This is stuff you got to experiment with your whole life. I've been experimenting with this stuff forever, and when I go overboard with the blacks, I really get pissed off because I know I could have done better if I just had planned it out better. Here's a page with a color on it. Now you can see that if this was done in black and white, you could see how open it is. It would be very, very open. All these things would be open, but because of the color, they stand out as colored silhouettes. This is how he does snow. This is how he does steam and clouds. Every drawing he did was second to none. Everything was natural. Everything was perfect. His characters always came alive. This is the kind of guy you want to look at when you're wanting to be as good as your heroes. Oh, I almost forgot about this one right here. Would you look at that? How does that read to you right there? Norman Rockwell painting. Can you see the bulldog? Can you see like the big target area right here? Well, of course you can. That's why even Norman, with all the detail and stuff in the photo sessions he set up for all his neighbors and finding all the right building and the right everything about this thing was researched. The right kind of bike, the right this. Even with all that stuff going on, it comes down to a very simple thing, and that is the bulldog. The bulldog's being stubborn, so they don't want to. They're trying to bribe him to get out of the way with a milk bone, I'm sure. The only problem with this painting is that the stupid bulldog is too small. He needs to be like the ones in Warner Brothers cartoons. This guy's too wimpy to be a danger to anyone. So, but you know, it's easy to get caught up in little things when you're trying to do 100 little things. You can get lost and forget about things sometimes. Okay, here's the big drawing moment right here. By the way, I almost forgot to to bring this up. We're doing something, a weekly thing that that we're going to be showing off here. There's a lot of people that write in and they say, "Would you critique my work?" Well, when you write in and you've got work that that is worthy of being shown, we're going to show it. This is one of the things that came in last week. It's Paris, a guy named Paris, and he did a very, very good job right here on Superman. I guess he's worked for Marvel for on and off for this year and that year, but it's very nice. And obviously, simple as it is, it reads very well. So this is going to be, I hope to be a continuing feature the Steve Rude live streams every week on Saturday at 1:30. Now the moment of truth. We got a guy that happened to write in the Angola City Police Department here, and there's a guy named Sergeant Lesiak, which is this guy in the middle here. Now, you talk about the guys that keep our streets safe. Here's the guy right here, and this is incredible. He's completely new to Nexus, so old, new, everything in between. It's just astounding to see the kind of thing we're doing to shake up the industry out there by introducing people to the virtues of a well-done comic book. He also wanted me to do a character drawing in here, which I'm going to take out and do in front of your faces. Show up all your faces. Okay. I'm going to get a hernia here. So, what kind of a drawing what did he want me to do? Well, I think he wanted me to do Nexus, but you know that's what that's what ordinary people do. I'm not ordinary, so I thought I would do something that reflected the law, and that's the Golden Guardian, the Kirby character. So what I want to would you look at that? Well, I wasn't looking. The lead broke on its own. I had nothing to do with that. The dirty dogs. Well, who needs it? We're just going to use our, unless this one breaks. All right, we're going to resort to the blue pencil right here. So this may be a little hard to see. If I put it on here, I think it's going to crack the board right here. So for the good old sergeant here, we're going to do something to make it worthy of the cash commitment that he did to pay for this oversized deluxe edition of The Coming of Gourmando here. So what can I do here? I got to think of some kind of a pose here. So I've talked about this with you guys, and it's this bizarre thing about the mind where you see this impression in your head, and what is it an impression of? It's a mental imprint of some kind. And I'm seeing that right now. A sense of something, and it's a very weird thing. It kind of comes under the same category as writers when they say the characters are writing themselves. I love the Guardian, the Golden Guardian. He is just like the coolest dude. Mm-hmm. I wrote a letter to Jack Kirby when I was in high school. when he was doing these books right here. And I said, you ought to give the Golden Guardian his own book. He's worth it. 30 years later, Roz comes up. She's got a little stack of paper in her carry-on. And she hauls out this letter from a guy named S. Rude from Gladstone, Wisconsin. And she goes, is this you, Steve? I said, holy God in heaven. Holy Jesus, Mary, and Joseph. She saved my letter from high school. And I said, Roz, that is my letter. Now, how cool is that? If you think it can get cooler than that, write in and tell me how cool it can get. Because to me, this is the end all of coolness. Okay, so we got something going on here. This is his shield. It resembles the shield that a cop has on his uniform. So I guess I got this okay from up to about here. Can you guys see that? Can you see that? It's pretty light, huh?
You can see it. Zoom in a little bit.
Yeah, zoom in a little bit here. Yeah, we got to get a sense of Kirby dynamics going on here. And ever since I showed you guys that hand thing where I took a bunch of really well-drawn hands from different artists, I've been taking my hands much more seriously. So if you're going to be serious about hands, take them very seriously. Okay, so we're ready to, I guess, like ink it in, man. Do we want to do that? Nah, we don't want to do that. Let's use a really dark pencil. Here we go. Here's a really dark pencil. I have a tendency to get sloppy with the markers sometimes, and I just don't want to do that. So this is a pretty, we're going to be able to see it a lot better now. I always endeavor to make things look like they came from the hand of Jack Kirby when I draw these guys. Otherwise, it doesn't look like the Guardian to me, or any other character that Kirby did. Marvel used to jump into me about that all the time. Why don't you do it in your style, Steve? I said, well, hey, ding dong, this is my style. Who do you think I learned to draw from in high school? I don't think they got it. See the flowing smoothness of the way Jack would put things in. You've got to think dimensionally when you do these forms. Let's make that shield big enough right here. Of course, these guys are super heroics. Yeah, I'm going to put some Kirby marks in there. Sorry, Marvel. I'll never forget the day I was working on Captain America, and I had all these villains with cigarettes in their mouth, and the mandate came down from the PC crowd: no smoking. No Marvel character can be smoking. Well, the Thing never died of cancer, did he? No, he didn't. But to these sissies that want to abide by the PC brigade every chance they get for whatever good that ever did them, that's important to follow that line of thinking. See those little Kirby marks there? I do them because they're fun. Kirby had a very impressionistic way of spotting blacks. How are we going to do this right here? Let's see. Kirby's way of drawing musculature was insane. He actually invented this impression. I don't know what to call it really. Maybe you guys can help me out with help me out here with this right here. It's a language. It's a language of musculature that he came up with. That made him what do I call Kirby? Hyper impressionist. Yeah, that just happens to be my phrase for him. Now, depending on what version you looked at. Kirby would often put little things in it that were different from the other. He would change costumes in mid page. So that's my guardian right there. Let's beef up his legs a little bit here. And so yeah, this is how I learned to draw. You know, back in high school. Naturally, I wanted to draw like the guys that I loved that did comics, and I don't think it's any great stretch to realize. My shoulder's in the way again. We have a problem with the shoulder here. Anyone who wants a full refund, well. Let's not bring this up. I'm going to get deluged. So there is the Golden Guardian, okay? By the dude, by way of Kirby. Do I add a black spot down there? Didn't seem to hurt. Okay, so this goes to our dear sergeant right here, Sergeant Lesiak. Let's just put it in there right now. It belongs to him. He paid for it. He gets it. To the Sarge from the Guardian and June 7th. $2,025. So, Sarge, thanks so much for what you did here for us. It's so nice to see people that are coming aboard new, that have never even heard about Nexus. So our time is up. I never got around to doing this inking example right here, which is something I want you guys to look into. Ink the Old Lady. So this is going to be posted online on the Dude website. I'm looking forward to this. I bet it's going to be a lot of fun. What I did here with my version, I blew it up quite a bit, like the 150%, so it's easier for me to work on. And then next week, I'm going to take brush and pen, or pen and brush, and maybe a little bit of whiteout, and see how I do with this thing. Okay. So let's see if you guys can match the Dude as far as your skills at inking goes. Little at a time, all in good time. Okay. Did I just mess up this mic here? Let's assume that I did. Okay. 10 demerits for the Dude. Again, this is Angelo's City Police Department here. He's retiring. 32 years of service. Bravo. Thank you for your incredibly devoted and selfless service to keep the riffraff off the streets. So this is going to Sarge, and that's going to be it for today. I think I covered everything. Did I not, Mr. Producer?
Nope, you got everything. Yeah, that's it.
Okay, good. You guys have been writing in a lot of comments, and it's invigorating for me to see that the comments you are making are well thought out. I love well thought out comments. I love comments on the art of storytelling and the ins and outs, the particulars about all the things that go into a page of comic book art. The large and small elements, the negative space, the black spotting. It's really a science, and because it's a science, and because it's an art form, you can never master it. You can only further it. So that's why I love doing this so much. There's the book for the Sarge. You guys take care. Send those letters in. Don't forget our Patreon members that are doing such a good job of helping us out. And to Ken Meyer, Ace Stacy, and a couple of the guys that wrote in. Thanks so much. It's good to hear from you guys. You take care.